there, my name is Nick, and the game I'm pitching is called Medical Necessity. A bit of a backstory about me. I love team-based shooters. Specifically, I love playing the healer. And what a lot of people don't know about playing the healer in a team-based shooter is that it's maybe 20% healing and 80% positioning. Since you can't heal everyone at once, you have to figure out where to go, who to follow, who to heal, and who to ignore so that you can maximize your impact on the battlefield. And I want to make a game where this tactical, support-based playstyle takes front and center. Medical Necessity is a top-down puzzle game where the player assumes the role of a healer in a 5-man squad. The teams are populated with bots wielding various firearms that have strengths and weaknesses against each other. Both teams are attempting to eliminate the other, and the levels are set up so that the player's team is always at a disadvantage. Because of this, the player has to figure out who to heal when in order for his team to win a round. If the player makes the wrong choices and his team loses, he can immediately try again. Think Hotline Miami's pacing with a Counter-Strike flavor, and the player is a healer. Let's walk through a sample round. We see on both of these teams that there's a shotgunner, a rifleman, a pistolier, and a sniper, with an additional minigun bot on the red team and a healer on the blue team, the player. The player sees the shotgunner go right, the shotgunner go left, the sniper go right, and the rest of the team go through mid, and decides to follow the shotgunner to prevent a 2v1. Unfortunately, the friendly shotgunner loses to the enemy sniper because the sniper has a longer effective range. The player is cut down soon afterwards. The round resets. This time, the player decides to follow the bulk of the team through the midpoint. The player's team wins the mid fight easily. It's almost as if the player wasn't that useful. Also, the friendly sniper loses a close duel against the enemy rifleman on the right flank. Because the sniper wasn't there to provide cover, the red team flanks the blue team on both sides, and the player is once again cut down. The round resets. This time, the player heals the friendly sniper just long enough that he wins his duel before moving in to help with the mid-fight. Because the sniper was alive to provide cover, the player finally wins the round because his team has the advantage. There's one more element to the gameplay. The player can equip any firearm in the game, but his weapon heals teammates instead of damaging enemies. As the levels get harder, the maps will go asymmetrical in the red team's favor. The blue team will equip less optimal loadouts, make poorer decisions, and display less teamwork. You might get a round where the game informs you the rifleman has decided to go knife only this round. Because this game is rather simple, I don't need a large team. Other than the creative and technical directors, I just need one artist and 2 programmers, one of which is focused full-time on AI. Oh, thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions? Your hand was up first.
Yeah, I always play the healer too.
Woo!
I have 2 questions. The first one is, do the good guys and the bad guys always do the same thing, or are you able to influence what they do at all, like, or like, is it basically always the same positioning no matter what?
The question is, do the friendly bots, or do both teams of bots exhibit the same behaviors every round? Yes, therein lies the puzzle. Now, they aren't on perfectly scripted paths, but they have specific behaviors they always exhibit. The shotgun bot will always behave the same. The rifle bot will always behave the same. The sniper bot will always behave the same. Kind of like how in Left 4 Dead, the survivors will have different behaviors depending on what gun they're carrying. And so yeah, so therein lies the strategy. If you execute the same moves over and over, the same result will happen over and over.
Cool. And the second question is, I think you can agree we're like in the minority, people who like being the healer. So
Yep.
like, how do you propose having this game appeal to, like all the assassins and tanks and stuff of the world?
The question is how to make this game appeal to people who don't want to play the healer. And the thing is, honestly, I think this game will appeal to that group because it is a stress-free opportunity to try out a class that everyone is scared to play. I talk to my friends who play shooters with me. The reason they don't want to play the healer is because it's too much pressure, they don't want to let their team down, and they're too afraid to try to learn what is probably the most critical role on the field. Well, these are all bots. They're not going to notice how many times you lose. And the fact that if you make any mistakes and you lose the round, it immediately resets, letting you try again. It's about as stress-free as being a healer gets. Also, the worst part of being a healer is honestly not the enemy or yourself, it's unpredictable teammates. There's nothing worse than trying to figure out what your teammate, what is he doing? You're not going to have this problem here because the bots always exhibit the same behaviors. It removes the most annoying part of being a healer and creates a stress-free environment where you can try multiple times.
Question?
Sure.
Do you imagine for a given one of these puzzles, there's exactly one solution or more than one solution?
The question is, will these puzzles have multiple solutions or just one? When I design them, I will have a particular solution in mind, but it's pretty much impossible to, think of every possible thing the player can try. I'm sure that players will be able to find multiple ways to solve a problem, especially in the early levels, where the teams aren't quite as imbalanced. We are going to make sure that there's never a level where the player can win by going AFK, but it's quite conceivable that the player can come up with a solution that wasn't the one we envisioned. Yes, sir.
So, to that point, are the levels like scored in some way where if you choose the incorrect or maybe not the non-optimal solution, you get penalized? And is there a way where your performance is judged on how quickly you discover what the optimal solution is for each level?
The question is, are the levels judged or scored in any way? The only thing the level cares about is if your team wins. We're going to make sure that there is a way for your team to win any level, but if you found a different way of doing it, that is what matters. I have done some crazy things as a healer that shouldn't have worked, but if my team wins, that's all that matters.
So the reward is getting to the next level
Yes.
and the next challenge.
Yes, the reward is getting to the next level. We don't care how you do it.
Okay.
You first.
Right now, again, it looks like, okay, I'm going 5-on-5. Do you ever anticipate as you move up in levels or stuff, or is there an advantage to having, all of a sudden 6-on-6 or 7-on-7? In other words, are you going to increase the size of the two opponents' teams at any point, or just keep it kind of where you have it now?
The question is, will every level be 5v5? No, actually I was not planning for the initial levels to be 5v5, as 5v5 is rather complicated. It's really tough to keep track of 9 bots at the same time. So the early levels would probably be 3v3. We would add a 4th player after a few levels, and we'd also probably add, like for example, the Pistolier, which is a little more complicated, a class role. So that's my answer to that. Yes, sir?
Do you need to live as the healer to the end of the level, or can you die but your team still wins?
The question is, do you need to live as the healer to win the level? No, your team has to win. When only one team is left alive, even if you are not personally alive, if you set things up so that you died but your bots were in the position where they were still able to win, that is still a team victory and you're allowed to move on to the next level.
Is there
Yes.
a reasoning behind the outcome of each encounter, or is completely random? In the slide you showed that the enemy sniper managed to kill your shotgunner, but your sniper actually died, even though he had longer range. Why?
Okay, so the question is, in my example, why were certain classes able to beat other classes? In shooters, sorry, one more slide. In shooters, each weapon has an advantage to another weapon, and this isn't just for my game, this is just in general. This is sort of a quick little rock, paper, scissors example of what weapons, and by proxy, what bots, have advantage over other bots. You can see that a sniper beats a shotgun because the shotgun can't get close. A shotgun beats a minigun because a minigun has to rev up, and a shotgun is a burst fire weapon. And for the same reason, a minigun is able to beat a rifle because a rifle is not a burst fire weapon. It takes time to kill its opponent, and it'll get shredded by the minigun. However, a rifleman will beat a sniper who has to reload more often and thus doesn't have as much DPS. So this is the crux of the strategy. Which one of these bots is going to beat the other bots? And a healer can change the outcome of a 1v1. A healer can help one of these guys on the right column beat one of these guys on the left by out-healing their opponent. And that's the player's role on their team. Of course.
Thanks, Dan.
Oh, one more question. Sorry.
Actually, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
How long, is there a variation how long it takes to heal a person, or is it the same time?
First question, is there a variation on how long it takes to heal a person? Yes. The player can equip any weapon in the game. So all of these you see here, there's a few that aren't on the slides. Let's go back to one where here we go. You can equip all of these weapons. They all have different firing patterns. A shotgun fires 1 at a time. A rifle fires as many times as you want. A sniper fires 1 supercharged shot before having to reload. You target your teammates and heal them with whatever weapon you have equipped, the amount of damage your gun would have dealt. Does that make sense? You heal with, you have a bunch of different healing guns you can choose to equip. And different weapons will be, more powerful depending on what level you're playing. Either you need to deal a lot of sustained healing, or you just need some burst heals. Or you want to counter a specific enemy. If the minigun bot is the one you really have to worry about, equip a healing minigun and just shoot whatever teammate is fighting the minigun bot. So there's, yes, to answer your question in one word, there are variations in how much healing.
And would the red team have a healer too, or just the blue team?
The question is, does the red team have a healer too? No. The red team's advantage will always be DPS, which means damage per second, and numbers. They have 5 people shooting at your team, whereas you only have 4. Numbers adjusted if there aren't 5 players per team in the early levels. So no, you will always be the only healer on the team.